Yeah, today's topic surprised me as well. No joke, today was actually going to be a new episode of Jetpack Retro Classic, taking a look at old commercials. But while in the middle of writing that episode and putting it together, among doing other stuff like work and things like that, I then, in my off time when I was free, um, spent that time doing my second run of playing through Far Cry 2 again. I was going through my old games, saw that I have this Far Cry collection pack, and when, you know what, I remember Far Cry 2 being really good years ago when it first came out, so I popped it in, played it again, and yeah, loved every second of it, had fun. Just beat it the other day and decided, you know what? There's a lot to unpack here, and there's a lot I want to say about it. So yeah, today we are doing the start of a retrospective. I decided because of how much I love the Far Cry series, before I turn to shit, we are going to do a retrospective going through each of the games and the deep hidden meaning and layers behind their story and things such as that, even a few facts here and there. So let's start off with the first one, Far Cry 2.
So we've got new men in office. Now what do you think's gonna happen? You already know. The whole world knows. First, they'll take everything they can get their hands on. Rob the banks and the stores. Then, the men will be lined up against the wall and shot. Chop children's arms off and cut the tendons in their necks. And the women... It's a goddamn disease. What it is. A cancer. You see it. They can't get enough. They just take and take until it kills them. And once they're gone, someone else takes their place and their disease too. Every cell is infected. And the longer you stay, the deeper the virus goes. In the end, nobody will be left, just the disease. So what do you do with this particular situation? Quarantine the patients. Or you just get dirty along with the rest of them.
The story of Far Cry 2 starts simple at first. You're just a basic hired gun mercenary who's being paid to come in and execute a man who's been going around killing people, destroying camps, and trying to cause his own little cause, a vendetta if you will, called the Jackal. But the second you come in here, whoopsie, looks like I got hit with malaria, and now you're suffering from malaria, showing that the Jackal planned all of this, and you basically are just playing his game. One thing I really found interesting about the story is as you continue throughout the story, if you wait right before entering a mission briefing, you could get little facts and little lore about the Jackal and things going on. It's one of those games that the more you focus and listen to what's being said, the more this world opens up around you. And that's when you get to hear a line. There's a little dialogue, if you wait before one of the mission briefings, that talks about the Jackal. These people that you're working for find out through medical history that the Jackal is dying from cancer. He only has 3 months tops to live, which starts to put in perspective who the Jackal is and why he's doing this. From the few times later where you run into him, he has talks with you, talking about his feelings on the world and what it is. To him, the plain to see horrible executions and other sorts of crimes, down to the sexual to the horrific, have been happening left and right all around Africa and this place that you're in, which makes the Jackal start to change. He starts to reflect on it with you, telling you how he's come to realize that just like cancer, the world is no different. Cancer is nothing but a bunch of white cells that attack your body. You need to kill the cells to get better. He sees the world the same way. Life is no more than this festering poison, a little bit of destructive cells that are hopping around, just killing, pillaging, and doing God knows what to each other just for the sake of money and natural primal views and needs. The Jackal has hit his endpoint. Once you get to the point in your life where there's no point in any of this stuff, due to his death coming soon, you start to put life into perspective and realize what truly is important at the end of the day. For him, it's this vendetta. For him, it's using what's left to burn whatever he has to finally take down these camps in this location you are, upset Poco, and then trying to finally end all this suffering once and for all. Although, even he admits later in the game that it probably won't do much. There will always be somebody to come in and continue it, but for now, it gives at least a breathing chance for the people. Besides that amazing start to a story, there's even things within the gameplay I found very fascinating about the series. They have choices as the game goes on, like would you rather just do the mission straight up and do what the faction wanted, or would you instead like to do a twist on them with a buddy of yours and then try to get more bang for your buck? It doesn't change things story-wise, it still comes to the same outcome, but it ends up causing some sort of bonuses or a hidden layer to the story for you to enjoy more. For example, as the game goes on, you do have extra choices. Like, for example, sometimes when it's time to take down the faction, you get a choice of who should take it over. Do I turn around and not kill them? It's your choice. Although, to be fair, any choice you do in the game doesn't really affect the final outcome of the story at all, really. The final outcome is always the same, but it tries to do this interesting thing in the gameplay called morality. The game was developed in a system where the choices you make and the stuff that goes on is more a personal choice for you. It's meant to see how you feel in the situation. Are you happy with that choice? Would you do something like this? Which of these characters did you like enough to be the real faction leaders? It does a fun little game where, story-wise, no, it won't change that much, but morality-wise and how you feel in the end of the day with your choices is all on you. Sometimes you don't need to do much in order to, make the person themselves feel something in the story. Other parts of the game I found fascinating is the writing that took place when this game was made. The guy who took the reins of Far Cry 2 after Far Cry 1 was swept away from Crytek and now owned by Ubisoft was a realistic plan. You could tell, and we're going to find this out with more Far Cry games later down the line, that the writer of these games and the main game director really wanted to have something to say with each one. For Far Cry 2, the game feels like a mix between two things. Far Cry 2 is a big commentary on things that happened years ago with guerrilla armies and even the currency you use in the game, diamonds, being an outright reference to the Blood Diamonds incident that you hear referenced once in a while here and there. Every aspect of this game is some sort of thing that happened in Africa, or an occurrence, or some sort of story you were told being morphed as a big commentary on the whole system. The things that get done to people, the little faction groups and armies left and right that say they fight for the people but really just want to abuse the resources there. The fact that there are many people from Australia and stuff who did sweep into Africa during these times due to the diamonds and really try to take over corners and build their own business. It has all that in here and really fleshed out. Even down to another detail, that another thing that obviously was inspiration to the story was that also to help the story get made, it's clear that this game is a pseudo-adaptation borrowing elements from the famous novel The Heart of Darkness. I mean, there is literally an achievement in the game once you enter the part of Africa that's called the Black Heart, literally called Heart of Darkness. They outright reference at the end of the game through the achievements that this is just a pseudo-adaptation of Heart of Darkness through different characters in a new lens. Which is not a bad idea at all. The second I saw that achievement, everything began to click for me. The Jackal, who he was meant to represent from the book Heart of Darkness, the storyline, the war, just the whole thing of it actually ended up fitting perfectly. It became more of an interesting adaptation to poke into. And yes, if you guys are wondering, Heart of Darkness is the book that was adapted into the film Apocalypse Now, which is mostly famous for how horrific of a production it was to make. With all that and more, I see why this game is so beloved and praised. But now it's time to get into the big kicker of the true meaning of Far Cry 2.
If you're here to help understand that ceasefire, you're too late. A peace agreement, what a joke, a comedy act. You think these men wanted peace? They wanted privacy is what they wanted. They wanted the world to stop paying attention to them so they could go on with the raping and pillaging. In peace, you see. It's gonna stop. I'm gonna stop them, and they'll know. They'll be cursing my name when that blood keeps spreading out of their necks. And you're not gonna stop me. You think I don't know you, what you're about, what you came here to do? Wake up. I used to be you. They're gonna think you did this, a dirty mercenary who'll do anything for a payout. That's good. It means the war will start all over again. The real bloodletting has begun. We're gonna cure these men of their disease, you and I. We're gonna pull it right out of their veins. What do you got there? Diamonds?
When you get to the end of the game, and you end up walking to the Jackal's trap, instead of what you thought, which was a simple diamond trade in order to finally bring peace to a war-torn country, it ends up being a trap, a trick, no more than a diversion. The Jackal stops you, and he gives you a big, deep talk, trying to finally hone things home, where he gives us the big twist of the game. In his own words, I was basically you. The twist of the game ends up being that the person you've been trying to kill and you've been after the entire game is literally you to a T. The game tries to have this fun thing with it where imagine if players like you actually did exist in this world, like the buddies and the jackal, and this was if a ton of players with the same goal just jumped into one game and now they're all playing this game of fighting each other to see who gets to win in the end. The jackal reveals he is U2T. He was also a mercenary just like you. He came here to do the same job you did and did it well. And that's why he's able to predict everything you do throughout the game. He knew what jobs you were going to take because he took these same jobs before. He knows this system inside and out, and that's why, after getting his diagnosis of cancer, he finally wants it over. The big twist of the game is having to look yourself in the face and realize, if you had the same choice as him and were going through the same pathway, would you finally learn from it? Are you doomed to let history repeat itself, or will you finally crack the mold and change history for a better? It has many different endings that go with this, even some where you could find a way to kill the jackal, or at least that's what I read online. I couldn't make the ending work, but maybe you can. I mean, like, you know, like just it's like the save state in the system, like it's just really, really on you. Speaking of which, there's only one thing in this game you need to be afraid of: cars. I'm being dead serious. Fighting enemies, nah. Killing all sorts of snipers and stuff, nah. Cars, fucking run. Every time a car would appear or something, run for safety. Cars are instant kills, one little touch and they kill you instantly, and since this game only relies on save points, let's say I saved, ran across the entire half of the map to get somewhere, got tapped by one car I didn't see coming, now I'm back at the start again. Okay, tangent over. So with this in mind, the story becomes more than clear. It is the equivalent of having to face your own reflection and see what choices you will make for the future to come on. Even the jackal tells you in the end, you know, in the end of the day, we are now both terminal. You with your malaria, him with the cancer. And now it gives your character second lease. What will you do with this life now? As the explosion goes over the mountain and the fireworks are sounded, you get to finally sit down with your own thoughts. With the little text on the black screen of what happened next, showing that, like usual in life, things haven't really changed. This place is still war-torn and destroyed. The news didn't care at all about that one reported story about all this. And even the jackal, no matter which ending you pick, seems to have disappeared. Or at least, a body was never found. It makes me wonder why they chose to never take advantage of this specific ending and run with it and choose to do a little DLC in the later games or something where the jackal returns. But you know what, I guess it was just too good of a game to mess with. And that is the hidden meaning, to me at least, of Far Cry 2. Like usual, let me know what you guys think in the comments on your views of Far Cry 2, your thoughts on the game. You know, what are your thoughts on the story? I genuinely like to read these things and, you know, hash it out with you guys on different views and opinions on this topic. Also, let me know which Far Cry game I should cover next in retrospective. Yeah, in case you're wondering, Far Cry 2 being the first one to cover, I'm not going to be doing these things in order. It will be whatever one I play at the time or I feel like discussing. And with all that and more, like, subscribe, the usual guys, and I promise, no more stalling or any of these dragged out things for a while. The next episode will be a full new episode of Jetpack Retro. It'd feel nice, actually, to return to form for a change. Bye, guys.